Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody, welcome to a special episode of Paranormal Karen. I am so excited. If you are about tarot, you know anything about tarot, you know Biddy Tarot. It is the best website. It is the biggest website in the world. And also, if you think size doesn't matter, it's one of the most comprehensive and easy to use. I've been reading tarot for 30 years, and I still go to this website. And today, my guest is the CEO. And can I say inventor? Is that a good word to use?
Yeah, why not? That sounds good.
Brigit Esslemont, how are you? Did I say that correct?
You did. Yeah, I'm feeling fantastic. You know, I'm living here in the future. I'm like a day ahead of you right now. So life is good on the other side.
Oh, that's great. You know, I might be working as a stand-up at a vegan festival out there. I hope to get there. But this episode is about you, not me. So, first of all, I have so many questions. The big thing we want to talk about is your book, Intuitive Manifesting. We're going to get to that in 2 seconds, but I have to ask you really, you went from like a regular job to becoming a tarot reader and then to having the biggest website in the world. What is that part of the book, like how you manifested that coming about?
Yeah, you know what? Really, this whole concept of intuitive manifesting has underpinned really the journey of my life. It's been a method that maybe really not until now I've actually put words around it, but it's something that's been so prevalent in my life. And yeah, going all the way back to that time in 2012, which is when I decided to leave corporate, I had been working for 15 years in corporate. I had have a master's degree. I had worked my way up the corporate ladder. I'd done all of the hard work, the hustle and the grind, but I just was reaching a point where I felt like, is this it? Like, this is not really stimulating anymore. And I felt bored. I felt demotivated, discouraged. And I knew that there had to be a different way. And what was interesting is even by 2012, Biddy Tarot had been my little side project since 1999. So it was always there. It's kind of bubbling away on the side. But it wasn't really until it started to make some more money. I was doing professional tarot readings. I was selling an ebook. I had some advertising that was generating some money on the website. And I got to that point in 2012 where I was like, I could actually earn enough money from this passion project, and pretty much the same that I'm getting in my corporate career. But my passion project is my love. It's my passion. And it's the thing that just lights me up so much. So yeah, I finally made that decision. It felt crazy at the time. And I remember like walking into my manager's office and going, yeah, so I am going to resign from my, 6-figure salaried career, like corporate career. She's like, oh, okay. Yeah, where are you going? Going off to another consulting company? Like, what's next? I'm like, well, I am going to create my own Biddy Tarot website. And she's like, what? What are you doing? Is that crazy? But I knew in my heart that it was absolutely meant to be. And, even that sort of worry about like money and stability, now I'm earning like more than 10 times what I did in my corporate career. So it just, by trusting that whole flow and trusting intuition and trusting the process, just leads to such like more aligned outcomes, and, yeah, I think that really is the core of intuitive manifesting. It's just finding a way to really bring your dreams to fruition, but in a way that feels in true alignment to yourself, that feels authentic, that honors your own path, not necessarily what someone else thinks is successful or not.
First of all, I love that sometimes you talk to people and they're like, I'm the 8th psychic from the 8th family member. Like it's, you know what I mean? And you kind of feel left out, which I wasn't any of that. So you were just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to read tarot. You didn't have a big fancy story. That's what I love about tarot.
Yeah, this was the tricky thing. Like when I started reading tarot, I was about 18, 19 years old. I was young, and I desperately wanted to find a community of tarot readers. I wanted to learn from other people. I wanted to practice. And every time I'd go to try and find a community, either they were mostly like older women who I just really didn't connect that well with, or there was this sense of like gatekeeping. And I think this is the stuff that I really want to break free from in tarot, because there's often this like sense that, oh, you need to be the 8th generation psychic. You have to have the psychic grandma. You have to be able to speak to dead people. Oh my God, you can't see the future in like crystal clear vision. Who even are you, right? And I just got really sick of this kind of exclusivity. And because I was experiencing tarot as this really powerful personal transformation tool. And yet I was encountering people who are going, no, you can't use this. You don't deserve this. You don't have the psychic powers. I thought that's rubbish. Like, I want to change that. And that's really where Biddy Tarot has really come into fruition, because it is about bringing tarot to the mainstream, about bringing it to everyday people so we have access to this tool.
Yeah, there's always that terrible, do I have to be gifted a deck? Does I have to have some again? No, you don't. You could just buy a deck on the internet. And as usual, your book is hitting the perfect time, because there is so much talk about manifesting, and it can get overwhelming, number one. But also, I feel like right now people are right on the edge of doing exactly what you're talking about. I want to do that. I'm ready to make the leap. I don't want to do this job. I want to do what I'm right for. And they don't quite know how to do it. And so in this book, you have it like especially 4 steps, right? Nice, easy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that's it. You got it. And like, here's the thing with the 4 steps. I'll just run through them. And we have, so step 1 is picture the perfect future. So it's really tapping into your core desires. Step 2 is to become the energetic match. And that's, really stepping into who do you need to become so you can attract what you want. Step 3 is that taking action, but also releasing any of those limiting beliefs. And step 4 is a celebration of your success, of offering gratitude and then trusting and surrendering the process. Now, those 4 steps, you probably go, oh yeah, that's interesting. I've sort of heard that before. But I think where things get most interesting is when we actually drop into these steps, how we include our intuition, how we include this beautiful tool that is the tarot cards to really deepen the layers, to really be able to access what is actually our core desire, what is in our highest good, our highest potential, and just to go beyond that surface level manifesting that we often hear about in some mainstream media, and just to take it that level deeper.
Yeah, I completely agree. There is sort of, I know a long time ago, not a terrible movie, but the movie The Secret came out, and that was so light, like it didn't really hit it. And then the other movie was called What the Bleep Do We Know, which was so intense, and there was kind of no medium. And I love the way you said that, because I think a lot of people aren't sure what they want to do right now. Like, this is just a good way. And I always say that we seem to have this feeling that we have to know forever. I want to do that forever. I'm going to manifest it. And then I have to do that forever, but we don't.
Yeah, that's it. And sometimes like what we think in the moment is important to us won't be the same thing that's important to us as life evolves, as we evolve. And so I think this is why it's important to be more fluid and flexible when it comes to manifesting. So many of the more traditional methods have us in this linear model, like, have goal, work hard towards goal until get to goal, and then you will have goal and be happy. But so many people are either, they don't even start, they sort of end up halfway and they lose focus, or they finally get to the goal and then they go, is this it? This is not really what I thought it would be. And so all of that to me is missing this alignment piece, this aspect of being aligned to what's true and authentic to us, and honoring that. Because I think this is the other thing with social media. particularly, it's so easy to get on Instagram and go, oh, look at her. She's got like these dream holidays she goes on like every second month. Or look at this guy over here with his luxury car or the, dream home. And we think, oh, maybe I really want all of this. And so we start to work towards these goals that actually aren't even our own goals. They're someone else's. And we're calibrating to a point that's not in here. It's like, in ourselves, it's outside of ourselves. And so that's why we can often end up demotivated, procrastinating, feeling discontent when we achieve the goal and so on.
And the emotional part of it, that I think is also, because I'm sure in the book you kind of go into details of, because it's easier to say like, feel it or fake it till you make it or something like that. And that's not always that easy, especially now when we're kind of in hard times. It's hard to stay optimistic. So I bet you have some tips on that.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about this because this is that step 2 is becoming the energetic match to what you want to create. And I want to actually just go back a few years in my business story. And 2017, I had built up my business to a point where I think maybe it was about 300, 400,000 in revenue. So I was doing pretty well. And I thought, you know what? I would like to have $1 million business. That would feel awesome to me right now. And so I thought, okay, I have goal. Goal is $1 million business, right? Okay, work hard to get goal, that sort of mentality. So I listen to all the podcasts, I read all the books, I, invest in all of the best business coaches. So I'm seeking all of this information and trying to do all of the things that I think are the right things to do in order to have $1 million business. But I put in all of this work and still nothing was really moving the dial. And so I came back and I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, why am I putting in so much effort? Why is nothing manifesting? And when I tuned in, I realized that I was still operating as just a 6-figure business owner. I was not operating like a 7-figure business owner. And so I started to become a 7-figure business owner. So every day I'd start my day and I'd go, okay, would a 7-figure, CEO be answering everyone's emails that land in my own personal inbox? No, probably not. So I created like a help desk and had some customer service team join. And then I started to look at our products and our programs. I'm like, well, would $1 million business have like a product that is $10? Maybe not. Like maybe that wasn't the right thing. And so I started to increase my prices. And it was from this different mindset, this different place of being, that then all of the doing actually flowed a lot more easily. And like literally, and no joke, by the end of that year, I had reached that $1 million goal and it was insane. It was absolutely amazing. And so this is something I talk about in the book, is that often we think like if we've got the goal, awesome, now start doing, like take the action, get on with it. But if we're doing without having upgraded like our operating system, then we often just keep hitting up against the same issues. But if we can get into a state of being that future self, being the person who is creating these goals, then all of the doing just flows much more easily. And it's not necessarily a fake it till you make it, because I know that feeling too of like, oh, just pretend to be happy, just pretend to be successful, But it's more about like, if I want to manifest, say, more abundance in my life. Like maybe I choose the characteristics of courage and strength to be able to, say, increase my prices or something like that. Well, every day then I might step into, what does it feel like to be courageous? What does it feel like to be strong? What does it feel like to be abundant? And I would start bringing in this energy. And this is also where tarot can help, because you can go, okay, well, what card in the tarot represents courage and strength? I don't know, maybe the strength card. And so then you can start to work with the imagery of this chosen archetype or tarot guide to really support you in embodying this energy. And then everything else just flows much more easily from that place.
So I love that the way you were talking about those questions. What would someone that owns $1 million business, would they be have a hard time choosing their t-shirt in the morning? Like, the minutia that we get stuck on is ridiculous. So that key point alone, I'm starting that tomorrow. Because, I mean, out in America, we are so programmed for poverty thinking. And it's like, and guilt, and these things that we almost were programmed that there's a reward if you feel bad. And that is people's go-to. But if they keep asking that question, what would so-and-so feel like this? Or would so-and-so have trouble with that decision? That's a great basic, like, go-to.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I reckon half the manifesting actually happens when we just step into this future version of ourselves and we do it as a daily practice. And I think, like, especially in the spiritual industry, things like the scarcity mindset are just, so prevalent, because we all think like, oh, we shouldn't charge for our spiritual gifts. And then you're also shamed, oh, how dare she charge that much for that, and so on. So there's this like, I think, a very toxic culture that can happen around abundance, particularly with spiritual people, that we need to kind of break free from. And one of my guides is the High Priestess. In fact, I actually have her. She's tattooed on my arm now because I love her so much. But I often go, okay, like, what would it feel like right now to step into that High Priestess? How would the High Priestess deal with someone who might be criticizing things, or who might be questioning about whether I should charge so much? What would she be like? How would she manage that exchange for the value that she's creating? And I prefer to come from that place rather than like, what is society expecting me to do here? Or what is my, community think I should be doing? Because otherwise that's like a collective limiting belief, a collective story around money that you're tapping into. Why not create your own story around it?
Yeah. And also, even just the way you said it, it clicked in my brain. Like, you just keep hitting a wall. If someone just tell you, just picture that, or just feel like you already have it. But that question takes it, almost like tweaks it just enough that you're not asking, do I deserve it? You're just going, what would that person do? I really like that. This is a weird offshoot, but I have to ask, do you have a favorite tarot deck? And if you do, what is it?
Well, I'm biased because at Biddy Tarot, we created our own deck. This is the Biddy Tarot deck. And I love it because, well, it has shiny edges, beautiful shiny purple edges. And it's based on the Rider-Waite. I do love the Rider-Waite deck because it's very literal, very symbolic, and the stories are very clear. But with the Biddy Tarot deck, we wanted to kind of take that and then up level it in a way that it is more modern, more approachable. And a bit more of like the Biddy colors. So we love our Biddy colors. But even things like, some more diversity. Like, I'm just showing here the Empress card, and, she has beautiful brown skin, which I love. It's not everyone is in like their white skin coats. There's a whole variance in different skin colors. Even the Devil card, I can't find it right now, but even the Devil card looks kind of like, oh yeah, that's all right. It's not the kind of like scary type. So it was really intended because, again, my desire is to bring tarot into the mainstream, and to have a deck that you could use with a friend who doesn't really know much about tarot, like, so you don't scare them off straight away. Or if you want to share something on social media, it still looks nice on there. It's not kind of like all these gaudy colors or scary images and so on. Yeah.
I was looking at that deck because, like I said, I've been reading for 30 years, but I kind of feel like you're probably like me. Like, these are my friends. These are my little friends. So I will, on an off day, I'll go to the library and get all the tarot books and just start rifling through. Some books I don't care for. Some of them I love. But I feel like it's a never ending fascination. And it's funny because I think I was actually going through the pages on yours. I was like, I want to know more about the pages. And you do some great history too with, what pages were and stuff like that. So but your website is just beyond. But back to the book. So once we get into this, okay, so I need, what would Brigit do in this situation? You'll be my man. And then I know what she would do, and we have the courage to do it. And then this is kind of my question: can we manifest anything, or is it usually our own blocks that get in the way? There's kind of a I feel like does it have to be in sync with the universe?
Yeah, it's interesting because in the past I used to think like, just get really clear on that goal, make sure it's super clear. We've all heard of like SMART goals that kind of force you into like, I don't know what it is, specific, measurable, actionable results or something, relative, relatable or something. Anyway, all of the things, time specific. And what that does is it just kind of narrows it down into something very specific. But what I've realized over time is that actually we need more fluidity around what we're setting as our goal or really our intention. And I actually find it more powerful not to go like, okay, I want to manifest the dream home by the beach, but what is behind that? What's the feeling that I want to have? Like, what is it that I'm actually creating here? Maybe it's that I don't want to manifest a beach home specifically, but it's more the freedom. It's more, having the lifestyle. And what that does is it allows more flexibility for the universe to work with you to find the thing that's actually most aligned to you. Because I have a friend she bought her dream home on the beach, and she would be nonstop complaining about how the salt water was now like rusting her laptop and it could never have a clean window. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the reason, why sometimes we think it's the dream goal, but then we get there and it's like, oh, actually, this is not that great. So having that flexibility to be a bit more like fluid of, well, actually, it's probably that abundance, it's that lifestyle, it's that freedom that I really want to feel into. And however that manifests, then I am good with that. But that's the feeling I'm going to work with.
Yeah, and also patience. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me. You can be my coach on this. I think patience is another thing. Like, we don't need to wait forever, but like you said, once you were in that right alignment, it was by the end of the year.
Yeah. And you know what? This is something I talk about in that fourth step, is the whole concept of trust and surrender, because our beautiful human brains like to go, okay, I want this in 6 months' time. Be ready, deliver it to me. And really, the universe doesn't work on our time scale, I don't believe. And so what I've realized, like, again, in the past, I used to go, get to goal, work really hard, try and make it happen as soon as I can because I really want goal. But now I've realized that sometimes really our goals and what we want to manifest are almost like they're sitting in the ether around us. And sometimes they're just sitting a bit further out because they're not yet ready to come in. Other times they come in and they're ready and they're ripe to go. A little bit like fruit on a tree. If you go and pick that fruit when it's still green, you pick it and you've either got to wait and try and get it to ripen up. It's never really that ripe. It's still hard in the middle. It doesn't taste great. But if you just wait maybe an extra week until that fruit is ripe and ready, so juicy and sweet. And so same with our goals. I've really set this intention now that I only want to fully receive an opportunity or an idea when it's ripe and ready to go. I'm happy to leave stuff out there in the ether as just an idea and a feeling and a knowing that maybe this thing will manifest. But I'm like, okay, I only want to call it in when it's like ready to go, because I work fast and I want it to be ripe and ready. So it's just an interesting and different shift in how you can see things.
I have a way off the topic question, but I'm just wondering, with all, like, it's a weird, what do you do? What is your hobby, or what is something else that you enjoy? Because I feel like well, I'm worried. Like my life is tarot. Like there are I do a stand-up comedy and a tarot show. And then there are tarot decks on almost every table in my house. But I feel like tarot is very connected to art and creativity. Do you do anything like that?
Well, you know what's interesting? I don't really consider myself as arty, but then I do things that can be quite creative. So I used to do a lot of macrame. In fact, I've got a wall hanging up there. I've got them actually, you can even see, well, you listeners won't be able to see, but yeah, all sorts of macrame projects and, even basket weaving I love. But I actually feel like a lot of my creativity is expressed through the work that I do. I love my job so much, and being able to create so much content within Biddy Tarot, like that's where a lot of my expression comes through.
It really is a phenomenal site. And you actually have other books too. This one comes out October 22nd, right? But
yeah, you got it.
Pre-order it. And there was a special with it or something. It said, I was like, is that a misprint? It said 300,000 worth of something with it.
Not quite 300,000, but we actually do have a pre-order bonus bundle that is worth $3,000. Mm-hmm. And so if you're like, oh, this intuitive manifesting sounds interesting, yes, you can pre-order the book now. And you can, when you do that, you just add in like your receipt number, and then we will send you access to this $3,000 bonus bundle. So yeah, let me just get you the exact link to help you find that. So yeah, beautiful. Here we go. So biddytarot.com/pre-order now. And if you go there, you'll be able to pre-order Intuitive Manifesting.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I have to order, I'll read the book, but I have to order just to see is that all downloads or PDFs? I don't know. I'll get it. I'll tell everybody about it later, how much I love it. Okay. And so I wanted to make sure just to throw that in first. I know we still have like 15 minutes, and I'm going to grill you for the last 15 minutes. So this is a very interesting question I was just talking to someone about this week. Maybe you can pass on any of these if you like. Is it harder to read for people who are really crazy? Like I'm a pretty good reader, and I was trying to read, and this person, sometimes when someone is really not okay, they're very hard to read for, aren't they?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I've never thought of it, but I think you're absolutely right, because I even working with some clients, like when I know that they're in a little bit more of a scrambled state, when they're not clear, the reading comes through as a little bit scrambled and a bit unclear. And I'm like, sometimes that's when I feel a little bit clunky with the cards. I'm like, oh, what's happening? I've been doing it for 25 years. Like, why am I not getting what these cards mean? But yeah, it's interesting. I think that it can be a reflection of what's happening for the client, because I have other clients who are just so like in flow, and, you can tell they're so in tune with their intuition, and those readings are yummy and easy, and yeah, so very interesting.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I have a little tarot class on my site, and on my Patreon, I'm always saying, you reword the question and say it back to them. Because sometimes when people just are going around in a circle, I always have to go, okay, let me unpack this. But yeah, those people that come to you with the list of questions, those are the best.
Yeah. Yes, very clear. And, this is something that I teach in my programs, is the whole idea of getting to the heart of the question, because it is like, to have a really powerful answer, you have to have a powerful question. And the thing is, like, most clients don't know like how to ask the question. That's okay. That's, they're not meant to know. Right. They kind of do their big download, like you said. And then it's our job as tarot readers to go, okay, well, what are they really asking here? And how can I phrase this in a way that's going to get to really powerful answers. So like, for example, moving away from close-ended questions like, am I, will I, is I, is this going to happen? Should I, all those types of things, and moving towards questions that are more open-ended. What might I experience if, what do I need to know about? Why is this happening? Those sorts of things. So yeah, getting that question right is actually really an important part of having an awesome tarot reading.
Yeah. Did you ever have someone do a tarot reading and then you go, so one more minute, do you have anything else you want to ask? And they're like, yeah, what's the meaning of my life? And you're like, well, no, there's only a minute.
That sounds like a great question for our next reading. Here's the booking form.
Yes, exactly. Now, you're not still doing readings, are you?
No, but I paused doing readings for, gosh, you know what? It was a decision that I made in 2017 when I up-leveled my business, because I realized that I was moving into a different phase where it was time for me to teach tarot and to activate thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, to really start trusting their intuition. So I stopped the readings, but literally just in these last few months, I've just started offering some very exclusive type, more like coaching packages with tarot. And I have absolutely loved it. I know it's not sustainable for me to keep doing it, but I've so enjoyed connecting with these 4 beautiful women who are traveling such wonderful journeys, and it's just been a joy to get back into tarot again.
Well, coaching is very, very close to tarot. I think I have some clients that their therapist will say, I think it's time to call your tarot reader, because they kind of know I can say what they have to dance around.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, coaching, therapy, all that. I think it all comes into play. There's I should get this book, but there's a woman that was a therapist that wrote I forget, her name is Jessica Dorr, and she has an incredible website. And she wrote all the psychological disorders that would be connected to cards and stuff like that. Do you like the things to be very specific? Like, I'm a Rider-Waite girl, and I am like details. I look at this, I feel like this, or do you like it general?
Oh, do you mean like when I'm interpreting the cards, do I stay kind of set and specific?
Yeah.
Again, when I first started, I was in that kind of more academic mentality, which is like study everything, memorize it all, make sure like you have got all of those details and you know them, and that you will never be put on the spot where you don't know the answer, right? And it was a lot of pressure.
Yes, it is.
And then, I'd get thrown because someone was like, well, do you know the Kabbalistic connection to this card? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I tried, but it didn't make any sense. I don't know.
And astrology, you got to know all I don't know any astrology, barely, so it doesn't help me with tarot.
I know. And like, it used to throw me into a spin of like, oh, I'm not good enough and all this stuff, right? And I realized, like, hang on a second, that's not the spirit of what I'm doing here. And I've learned now to become way more like intuitively connected with the cards, always honoring the traditions, the meanings, the ancient like symbolism, the collective consciousness really that goes into the cards. I think that is absolutely vital to understand that and understand the background. And there's this beautiful layer to tarot, which is more experiential. It's more intuitive. It's like, I don't know, I'm just pulling a card here and I've got the Hanged Man. And I love to go into not just like, oh, that means pause, suspension, looking at things from a different angle, but go, okay, well, let's look at this man hanging upside down. Well, what would it feel like if you were hanging upside down and looking at the world from this completely different angle? What would you notice? And what about if you had that leg crossed? How does that kind of feel for you? And start to almost get more experiential with the card. because there's some really powerful insights that can come out of that. Even just going, well, are you the person hanging here, or are you watching the person? And how does that kind of change your perspective on things? This is how we start to unlock things that are stored much deeper in our subconscious and more in that intuitive realm that we can't necessarily get by looking it up in a book and saying, oh, well, it means this, job done, right?
Yeah.
It's going much deeper.
I remember once I was reading for a lady, and her sister had passed, and they were going through her house, and they couldn't find the car keys. She was like, oh, we've lost the car keys. And the card I'm looking at as she's saying this is the Hierophant. And right at the bottom are the 2 keys. And I go, oh no, you're going to find them. They're right in front of you. And she called me, and they were, the ones that fold up and don't look like keys, the car keys that fold in themselves.
Oh yeah.
She was like, they were right on the counter. And I was like, oh, if it was all that easy.
I love it. And that's the fun part of tarot, isn't it? Like, you're not going to read that in a guidebook. And this is where I think a lot of the skill, but also the magic of tarot comes out, because when we kind of loosen our perspective and we let our intuition flow a little bit more, we get to see a lot of this stuff that just gives us these amazingly clear answers without having to have that 8th generation psychic grandma.
Yes. And also they let us, I kind of feel like sometimes someone will say something and I'm like, oh, that's what that means. There was this woman, and I was reading her career, and all her cards are great. This is wonderful. And then there sits the 5 of Pentacles. And I was like, why is that just sitting? Like, it's not really connecting with anything. And then she goes, I work in orthopedics. Of course. That's, broken bones. That's and then you go, oh my God, it was right there in front of me. It was so magically right there in front of me.
Oh, it's classy. I love it.
Yes. Well, listen, we are almost out of time. I'm going to put this out as a bonus episode so everybody can get the pre-order and get all the stuff. And you are just a delight and an inspiration. And, I do love your website. Anything else you want to tell people about, or we'll have the website in the show notes where they can get the book. Anything else you'd like to tell everybody?
Yeah, I just think, if this episode has piqued your interest around tarot, or maybe you're already a tarot reader and you just want to keep diving more into this topic, head on over to biddytarot.com. We have so many great free resources, free trainings. We also have really in-depth paid online courses and programs. We have certification for tarot readers. Like, there is so much at Biddy Tarot to really support people in this journey of personal growth and transformation, and then also being able to use this tarot to help other people around the world. So yeah, definitely recommend jumping over to Biddy Tarot and checking it all out. And also just know that tarot is accessible to everyone. It is something that anyone can pick up. And if you have an ability to look at a picture and go, what might that picture mean? Then you have an ability to read tarot. So even just, pulling a card every day just to check in what is kind of flowing around you that day helps you to connect in with your intuition and the tarot cards. So definitely jump in, dive in, enjoy all of this magic of the tarot.
Yes, that is great. And I do love that deck, the Biddy one that you made. It really is a beautiful deck. So, all right, everybody. Well, look in the show notes. We're going to connect. This was a delight. I was done with my podcast for the year, and then I contacted you, and it was like, no, we got to do this. So, thank you, Brigit, and everybody. Thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media, and I will see you all next week.
Paranormal Karen, she's a spooky kind of queen. Paranormal Karen, she's an